Glad you could join me as always. Today is a trying time in our country, and we have to understand the importance of gun legislation, of the personal use of firearms, and of the militaristic use of firearms. But first, what we're going to have is a rational conversation about guns. The question we're faced with is a war on guns fair? A war on guns is not fair. A conversation about rational gun legislation is. Thank you for tuning in. Another question we're faced with is what is the correct age to legally purchase a firearm? It's a very good question, a question that should be raised, but let us tread carefully. The correct age to legally purchase a firearm is 18 years of age. I have always been of the belief that the age requirement should have to be set by the state government and its people that the guns are sold to in that said state. The context of the Second Amendment states otherwise, and that is for a different day. We can talk about that. Right now, it's about making a point, and a point that needs to be made. We send people to war at the age of 18, but we have many people out here saying that they are not smart or mentally stable enough to own or carry a firearm in their own homeland that they go out and defend. That is scary. There are people out here in this world, in the United States of America, that want to get rid of the Second Amendment. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I'm calling BS on them. Should a mental health check be required to legally purchase a firearm? Absolutely, 100% a mental health evaluation should take place before you may own or operate a firearm in any circumstance. That document with a doctor's signature attached needs to be sent in when you fill out the information to obtain a FOID card. And that is exactly how that should work, and anybody questioning that should question themselves. There's a lot of negativity going on in the media, and I believe in staying above the mud and just staying in your own lane and doing your own thing. Speaking out when necessary, holding yourself accountable, personal responsibility. All of these things go into my conservative values, into my just values, if you will. A question I raise that is not being answered, which needs to be answered, and I will elaborate on that. And is this about gun control or saving lives? And the reason I raise this question is because they are two different things. People are so worried about getting it wrong on this issue that they forget that any type of reform starts with outlines, followed up by a plan to reach those outlines, keep them in place, and assist in saving lives in the case of gun control legislation, ladies and gentlemen. Should schools be redesigned in order to prevent forced entry? Yes, absolutely. Going forward and with what resources are available, schools should be protected immediately. With a commitment to law enforcement, patrolling schools more, action needs to be taken quickly to determine if someone is mentally ill while at risk of harming others. It's important. Social media is a popular belief to be the sign of breadcrumbs leading up to these massacres. People need to speak up, Law enforcement needs to take action swiftly, and let us not forget these events happened in gun-free zones. Law enforcement knows it, and they have known it. One tragedy like this is enough, and it has been more than one. All future schools need to be redesigned in a way to deter an intruder and keep them away long enough for law enforcement to aid and resolve the situation. An idea has been floated that teachers should be armed, and it is well on the table. But that is a long way off. Let me tell you a story. I lived in a school district where we had a vote on if they should build a new high school. It was voted down, which I was completely for the school being built. But this measure was voted down by the people, not put on for the education of the younger generation, but put off. And unfortunately, you're going to have a hard time redesigning schools that are already built with taxpayer money and getting taxpayers to agree to that. So that is going to be a whole nother debate. What's important is what we can do immediately. And I do thank you for being here for this conversation with me. And just like the hands of time, I'm turning it over to you. Good night, everybody.